guys, Jen here from Jen's Extraordinary Life, and today we are going to make the best chocolate chip cookies. Yes, I am following the Toll House tried and true recipe that comes on the back of the Toll House cookies package, but I'm going to embellish it just a little bit, or not embellish it, but tweak it just a little bit. So come along with me and let's see what happens in my make-believe cooking show. All right, here's what you're gonna need. You're going to need a mixer. I use a stand mixer because you're gonna see why in just a second. We are going to let the stand mixer do all of our work. So this is the paddle you're going to need. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can use a hand mixer, but it really does make it easier with a stand mixer. But this is the paddle that you'll need. I'm going to set that aside. Ingredients you're going to need are 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I have that in here already. And to that, we are going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. I use pink Himalayan. Pop that in there. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And to that, or for that, to that, of that, I don't know, whatever. You just want to mix that really, really good so that you get all of those things incorporated together in that flour. I'm just using my teaspoon that I measured the salt and the baking soda with. So we're gonna get that good and mixed up. And then we're just gonna set this bowl aside. And here's where your stand mixer comes into play. Now the recipe calls for 1 cup, which is 2 sticks of softened butter. Yes, you could do that. But I like to use slightly cold butter. So I take it out for about 10 minutes before I cook it. It's not softened, but it is just slightly warmed up just a little bit, not quite room temperature. And then I'm going to cut it into little pieces. Grab a knife here. That's my oven preheating to 350. So I'm going to cut it into little, I mean not terribly little, but just little chunks. Because we're going to cream this together with our sugars and then our eggs to it. And if it was softened, it'd be really easy to cook and you could just plop this whole stick in there, but since it's not completely softened yet and it's still cold, it's actually going to make a better cookie for you, but it's going to be harder to mix that up, so that's where your stand mixer comes in handy. All right, so I'm going to set this aside. All right, so we're going to take 1 cup or 2 sticks of butter, and to that we're going to add 1/3 cup each of brown sugar and white sugar. So I'm going to put my white sugar in first. 3/4 cup. What did I say? I don't know what I said. I think I said 3/4 cup. Either way, it's 3/4 cup each of white sugar, white granulated sugar. Now you could use Swerve if you're using the granular kind, but if you're using the powdered kind, I don't know the conversion there, so you'll have to figure that out at your own. So 3/4 cup each. We did the white. This is going to be our light brown. You could use dark brown sugar with this, but I like a lighter cookie. So you want to nicely pack that, put it in there. So we use light brown sugar with ours. All right, we're going to cream that together first. You do want to keep your brown sugar in an airtight container as best as possible. We're going to cream this together first. So we're going to put our paddle on. I'm doing this backwards so I can't see what I'm doing. All right, there we go. And this is where the mixer is going to do the work for you with that butter. You start it on low because we all know what happens when you start it on high, stuff flies everywhere. While that's starting to cream together, I'm going to grab a spatula. Okay, I'm going to bump it up. You see that mixer is doing all the work for you to cream that butter together. So while that's happening, we want to do this for a good minute and a half to 2 minutes. You know, it just says to get it incorporated, but trust me on this one. You want to go ahead and mix it for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. So while that's happening, I'm going to show you what else you're going to need. It's good to have a cookie scoop so your cookies are uniform in size. I have the smallest one and the next smallest one, so medium one. Whatever you want. Depends on how big you want your cookies. You want little tiny baby cookies or big cookies. You need some parchment paper. I love these pull-out sheets. You need some cookie sheets. I have 2 here. I'm going to show you. In one, I have a Silpat sheet. I'm going to make some of them with the Silpat sheet and some of them with the layer of parchment paper. They work equally well, but you know, it's kind of whatever your preference is. I'm going to stop this for a second just so I can scrape this off of my little mixer guy, and then we'll let it go back to town for a minute. Not a minute, but you know, a little bit. All right, so that's getting good and mixed up. Once you get that situated, I really know this like the back of my hand, but I just want to make sure I'm not telling y'all anything wrong. All right, to that you're going to add 2 eggs. So I'm going to slow this back down because I really don't want eggs splashing on me. I'm going to add my 2 eggs. Let that keep mixing. And 1 lovely teaspoon of your choice of vanilla. And get that good and incorporated. Let me get that off of the paddle again. So that'll get all mixed in. Get that incorporated, and then to that we're going to add our flour mixture. Those eggs are mixed in there. Now we're just going to add the flour mixture a little bit at a time. Now that's the key. You don't want to put all of this in at once. So I'm going to put about half a cup at a time in there and let that get mixed in. Once it gets that half a cup, then I just add the next half. This is what I want in this dough. I'm not going to because there's raw eggs in there. And I don't need people yelling at me for eating raw eggs. Even though I saw Rocky. And he ate a whole cup full of raw eggs every morning when he was working out. So, I'm just saying. All right, let's put the rest of our flour in there. And we'll lock that in place and let that get the rest of the way mixed up. All right, I see some flour on the bottom that is not mixed all the way. So we're going to get that taken care of. All right, that's all of it. Now, here's where people argue. I put my chocolate chips in now. Some people say take this out, put your chocolate chips in and stir them by hand. I mean, okay, you do you. Maybe some people's mixer beats up the chocolate chips. I don't know. My mom used to stir them by hand. I'm not saying that's wrong. You do whatever you want to do. But I dump them right into my trusty little friend here and let him mix them up. And he does it beautifully and evenly and all of that. And that's that. Just takes a quick trip around the blender, the mixer. And that's it. Clean off your paddle. And we're going to pull our bowl out. Move our little friend out of the way. And then we're just going to scoop these onto our cookie sheets. And then, so here's a tip. If you want the best cookies, you don't want this dough to get too, you don't want this butter to get too solidified. So what I do is I put the cookies on here and then I put them straight in the oven, and then one sheet at a time, just one sheet, not, you don't want to put two sheets because then it cooks uneven and everything. So we're going to get this on here, then we're going to fill up the other cookie sheet and pop it in the fridge. And then when this one comes out, then we'll pull that out of the fridge and put it in. So here's our tips. And I put them in rounded scoops, about 12 to a large cookie sheet. They don't have to be perfect. If you get a little bit of extra on it, it's not the end of the world. If you want perfectly round cookies, then when these come out, I'll show you how to shape them with a cup. And then they'll be perfectly round like store-bought, but I'll show you how to do that. I'm not going to do that to all of my cookies because I think part of the beauty of having homemade chocolate chip cookies is that they look homemade, right? Who wants them to look store-bought? All right, these are ready. They're still a little bit cold because remember that butter was cold that we cut in. So I'm going to put this right in the oven. Alexa, set a timer for 9 minutes. We're going to check them at 9 minutes. Let's do the next size scoop.
I'm not sure.
She thinks I'm talking to her. We'll do these in the next size scoop. And then we're going to put these in the fridge. Still do 12. God, these are so good. I could just literally just eat this cookie dough. I won't. Don't get on to me. All of my followers are so sweet. Y'all really are. Really appreciate all of you. Put this cookie dough on here. And then I'm going to pop that in the fridge. No. You'll have to take it out of the bowl, buddy. All right. We pop this one in the fridge and then we'll fill up the next one. All right. Let me grab another cookie sheet. All right. We'll do this one with Silpat also. I don't have another big cookie sheet. I'll make this with the little scoop. Hey, I'm going to give you the link in my description. The recipe will be there, but it is on the back of the tollhouse chips bag, but I'll put the recipe in the description. But I'm also going to I think I'm going to save this last little bit for CJ because he likes the cookie dough. All right, anyway, I'm going to put these in the refrigerator because remember, we want to cook them from cold. Recipe will be in the description. Also where I get my cookie sheets and my Silpat sheets. And a lot of you guys ask about these pop-up parchments. I'll put that in there. All the stuff, links to all the stuff will be down in the description. So if you're looking for anything, just let me know. But we're going to let these cook and then I'll pull them out and show you what they look like. You're going to want a rack. It doesn't have to have legs like this, you know, just this happens to be the kind I have. Whatever kind of rack you have to cool them on, you're going to want to have that and get that out so that when you pull those cookies out, you can let it rest for just a second. So let's get that done. These are going to cook and then I'll be back with more. All right, you can see these are lightly golden brown. I have placed them on this cooling rack just to let them cool a little bit before I remove them from the cookie sheet, and then I'll let them dry the rest or cool the rest of the way on the cooling rack. But if I pulled them up now, they would break in half and crumble. So that's why I let them continue to cook just a little bit more on the sheet outside of the oven. So you want them, see, they look like they're still a little bit not like maybe undercooked. And this will give us a chewy cookie. Oops, tried to pull them off. Now if you wanted a crunchier cookie, then you would cook them just a little bit longer, but I like them to be kind of soft and chewy, so that's what that is. And let me show you with a cup what you want to do if you want them to be perfectly round. Let me grab a cup real quick. I just have a little cup here that is bigger around than the cookie, and you'll just take it, place it over the cookie, and do that, and then it makes it, you have to do this when it's cool, but it makes them perfectly round-ish. I mean, not perfect, but close to perfectly round. But again, I like them to look a little ununiform because then they're obviously homemade, so then they taste as good as, or they look as good as they taste. So I've got another batch in there cooking. We'll pull these off in just a second and put them on the sheet, and I'll be back. Here they are on the Silpat. Those were just a little bit bigger cookies. So we're gonna let those cool also. But see, though, if you try to remove them before they've cooled a little bit, they'll break apart. So that's why we do that. All right. All right. I've taken them off and I've let them cool for just a little bit. On the cookie sheet, you can see this is the one that I made perfectly round. The rest of them are a little wonky. And that's okay. Let them be wonky. I love them wonky. Oh, Alexa, stop. Let me check those. Not quite. That's another sheet. They've been taken about 11 minutes to cook after they've come out of the fridge, but I'm not going to lie. I've already tasted one. But can you see they're nice and thick? And that's because we let that butter cool or go back in the fridge and get cooled. So these are the smaller ones. This next tray that comes out is going to be a little bit bigger cookies, but oh my gosh. So good. They really are the perfect chocolate chip cookies. I've tried all the other recipes. I've tried everybody's recipe. And you just can't go wrong with Toll House. So it's so easy. You saw all the ingredients. It's stuff that you already have in your house already, in your pantry. There's no crazy ingredients. There's nothing crazy to do. It came together so quickly. So if you have kids, man, you could whip these up right before they get off the bus for school or whatever, and you would be mom of the year. If you have a husband, pop these things in the oven right before he gets home from work, and you are wife of the year. If you don't have either, pop these things in the oven and hand them to the mailman right when he gets here, and then you will be customer of the year. I don't know. Or just eat them yourself. They're so good. But I hope you enjoyed this. I encourage you to, you know, there's not all the preservatives and everything in these cookies like if you were to go to the store and buy it. So make yourself some homemade chocolate chip cookies. It's not as hard as it sounds. I hope you enjoyed joining me today in my Make Believe Cooking Show. If you do like these videos, I would love for you to subscribe. Just click that little subscribe button. Like, comment, share. Let us know if you make cookies yourself at home. And if you have any other tips, you know, maybe you thought of something that, or maybe you do something that I didn't think of. But thank you for joining us today. Come back for the next one and we'll be seeing you. Bye-bye. See you in the next one.